Good morning, guys. What's going on? I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. Let's get started in a minute. Let's get it cracking.
Here we are, land of isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in the state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Our family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to code, side for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and pop at your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Break it down here, I'm like the Boyce TV.
What's happening, guys? What's going on? I hope you guys are having a good day. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. Now, if you're Black and intelligent, say I. All the Black and intelligent people in the room, say I. This is a space for Black and intelligent people. So if you're not Black and intelligent, you may want to get the fuck out. This is where we have open-minded conversations about all the issues that are happening in the world. And we also walk away smarter people by the time it's done, which makes us different from most media, because most media, unfortunately, makes you dumber. They call it programming for a reason, and many of us get programmed in a way where half the damn world is stupid. So all the intelligent Black people, say I. Shout out your city. Let us know where you're from. Let us know about your business. Just shout yourself out. Just give yourself applause for being Black and being strong and being proud and not being scared and not apologizing for shit. So we're not apologizing for anything. We're not apologizing for being brilliant. We're not apologizing for working hard. We're not apologizing for planning for our children. We're not apologizing for being strategic. We just moving forward, man. That's what we do, and that's how, and we're doing it well. We have accomplished a lot this past decade. This platform, all the platforms have grown tremendously, and we are really impacting society. In case you don't know, what you're doing here is having a huge impact on the world. So let's get it cracking. Let's get it started. All right, so let's talk about the Grammys. Okay, so the Grammys. Does anybody watch the Grammys? Let me know if you ever watch the Grammys or if you pay attention to the Grammys at all. Does anybody else watch the Grammys? I ain't gonna lie, I don't watch any of that shit. It doesn't interest me. I just think it's kind of silly. It's not a show that really gets my attention each year. I guess because I have better things to do than to sit in front of the TV all day. Let me know. Does anybody watch the Grammys? Who watches the Grammys up in here? Let me see. I'm gonna look at your comments here. Okay, I see. Okay, a few of you do watch the. Okay, so I see a few no's and a few yeses. A lot more no's than yeses, and that's kind of what I expected. The Grammys, they're kind of following the way of the Oscars, where people are just kind of looking at it and saying, okay, I could be doing more interesting things with my life, like watching the paint on the wall in my house, or maybe watching the grass grow in my front yard, or using the bathroom or something. Like, the Grammys are not interesting to watch. I've always felt that they were problematic and rigged. I've always felt these award shows are stupid. Now, the reason that I felt this way is not just because I'm a cynical bastard, but because I know the history of these award shows. I have my students in the Black Business School read a book called How the Jews Invented Hollywood. And that book could also be called How the Jews Invented the Music Industry too. Now, this is not anti-Semitic. This is not an anti-Jewish statement. You can learn a lot from the Jewish community. The Jewish community, when they were oppressed in a certain way, they didn't sit around complaining about it. They went out and actually did something about it. They built industries around their culture. They built industries around who they were and what they wanted to be. So they made a power play. They made the same kind of power move I want Black people to make. But at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff that was created is pretty much an illusion. It's pretty much an illusion. And so basically these award shows, for the most part, when you're talking about whether the Grammys are rigged, and this whole conversation is about the Grammys being rigged, these award shows are basically designed by the industry to create false currency. They're almost like a like the way people create a cryptocurrency or something, right? If you create a cryptocurrency and people buy into your currency, then you pretty much become wealthy. Like, if I create an award called the Dr. Boyce Award, and suddenly everybody wants that award and people are willing to pay millions of dollars to get that award, then I've effectively made myself very wealthy, right? So ultimately for Black people, and we are the ultimate creators, we create some of the greatest art forms in the history of all mankind. But if you create in business, which is where we don't create as well as we should, if you create in a business context and understand how business works, then you actually can position yourself to have a tremendous amount of power. It's almost like the power of being an economic god. An economic god is somebody that doesn't just succeed in the environment. The economic god controls the environment. The economic god decides who lives and who dies. The economic god decides who rises up and who falls down, right? The economic god decides who gets to exist and who doesn't get to exist. Everybody else is living in the first three dimensions. The God lives in the sixth dimension. The God is the person that doesn't just get to decide, who's doing what right now and where they're positioned. The God gets to reshape time and space in a way where everybody that's in your space, in your universe, is impacted by what you choose to do and choose not to do, almost like a creator of a cartoon who gets to decide which characters are even going to exist, what they're going to do, whether they're going to live or die, etc. So to some extent, Black folks have always tried to be, we've always tried to have a presence in the universe of the economic god called entertainment. And these gods were people from other communities who decided which Negro was going to be famous this year. They decided which Negro was going to get a record deal and which ones didn't. They decided which type of music is going to be popular and which type is not. They decided what's going to be on the radio and what's not. So Black people wanted to be in the field, but we didn't position ourselves to be players. So when you're not positioning yourself as a player, then guess what? You about to get played. You're setting yourself up to be played. So we've always been played by the music industry. There's no question about it. We're the greatest contributors for the most part, but yet that we benefit the least. And it's because we never positioned ourselves as the God. We positioned ourselves as the mortals. We never positioned ourselves as the economic creators. We positioned ourselves as the people who were impacted by other people's creations. So when you're in that position where other people are creating things that are impacting you and you have no role in the creation process, then guess what? You end up sitting around complaining and bitching and moaning and whining because white people won't give you jobs. That's what happens to you when you can't think high level. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. Everybody who's watching anywhere, if you could right now, please hit the thumbs up button. Now on Instagram, you guys can't do that. So I just appreciate you guys being there. Just make some comments in the chat. My Instagram is the real Boyce Watkins. We have good conversations there. If you're on YouTube, right now on the count of three, everybody hit the thumbs up button. Facebook, same thing. If you're on Facebook, share it to your Facebook page. If you're on Twitter, please retweet. On the count of three, we're going to share Black intelligence everywhere. 1, 2, 3. Hit the thumbs up button. Share this. Also, please retweet. Make sure you do that. And if you want to dig deeper into what we're doing, go to boycewatkins.com. That's my website, boycewatkins.com. So let me read some of this article to you about the specifics of the accusations in the whole Grammy scandal. Now I'm gonna show you a picture of a really ugly white woman by the name of, what is her name? Deborah Dugan. She looks like a Deborah Dugan, doesn't she? If you look at her face, she looks like like I don't know. She's got like a kind of a dookie face. She's not a pretty lady. She's but maybe she's just getting older. So I'm not saying that she's ugly. Then again, I just think Black women are beautiful, and so I like to make fun of mean, ugly white people. I just do that. I'm sorry. Just the petty in me. All right. So let me read this to you. So Deborah Dugan. Now, the reason she's getting a lot of attention is because Ms. Dugan is making some pretty damning accusations against the people that created the Grammys. I guess they're called the Sound Recorded or the Recording Academy, right? Again, another invention. Like white people invent these things to make them sound authoritative and important, and we all fall for this. So this Deborah Dugan goes and makes an accusation where basically she says, here's what it says in NPR: winners of the 62nd Grammy Awards will be announced Sunday night, but there's a cloud hanging over the ceremony. Last week, Deborah Dugan, the recently installed president and CEO of the Recording Academy, which hands out the awards, was placed on administrative leave. So Deborah Dugan, who was the president and CEO of the Recording Academy, the president and CEO, D-U-G-A-N, that's her name. So she's the president and CEO. So she's not an employee. She's not an administrative assistant. She's not a manager. She's at the top of the pile. She's the the head honcho. She's the HNIC for white people. Like she's the one on top of everybody else telling them what to do. And so she was put on administrative leave. I don't know who's above her. Let's see here. I guess there's like some board or something. So anyway, check this out. Earlier this week, Dugan filed a discrimination complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission that includes allegations of sexual misconduct and vote rigging. So she's making two major accusations here. One is that the Grammys are rigged, and then that she was sexually harassed. Okay, so let me ask you this. Let's cut to the chase right quick. Give me a yes or no in the chat. Yes or no on this question. I'm gonna ask you guys this question. Then I'm gonna wait for you guys to answer. Did you believe that the Grammys were rigged already? Yes or no? Did you already believe that the Grammys were rigged, or did this come as a surprise to you? Like, did you spit out your coffee in utter shock when you found out the Grammys were rigged? Yes or no? Did you already believe that the Grammys were rigged? Give me a yes if you believe that they were already rigged. Give me a no if you thought that somehow white people are just designed to be hella fair and to treat everybody equitably, even though there's no historical record of them ever doing so ever in the history of this planet. Yes or no? Did you believe that the Grammys were already rigged, that maybe the Oscars are rigged, that, you know, a lot of these award shows, I'm sure even like the Teens Kids Choice Awards or whatever are rigged. Did you believe that they were already rigged? Okay, I see a lot of yeses. So that means we got people in here that got some common motherfucking sense. Good. So this year, the big winner is going to be this industry plant, this person who was predetermined for a certain level of success, this industry plant by the name of Lizzo. Lizzo, I'm gonna just tell you the truth. Lizzo is not just some sort of organic, naturally occurring success story. There's a lot of big girls in the hood that can sing. Lizzo was an industry plant in the sense that it was determined at the beginning of this year that Lizzo was going to become the it girl, that Lizzo was going to be the one, she was going to be the darling of the Grammys. She was going to be in the Grammys this year what Michael Jackson was, you know, 20, 30 years ago. If you remember when Michael Jackson got all those Grammys and he was up there and he kept getting called to the stage. I don't know if any of y'all old enough to remember this, but it was really amazing to watch. I was a little kid and Michael just won every damn thing that night. It was amazing, you know, and I was happy. Because I'm a big fan of Michael Jackson. In fact, the woman I'm married lived a few blocks away from his house, and we always go to his house. And every time I always marvel at how so many people lived in that tiny little house. But here's the deal. So yes, so the Grammys have always been rigged, and not only have they always been rigged, but it wouldn't have made sense not to rig them, because when you create and you design something, you want to control the thing that you created. You know, it's like if you're a parent of a child and you give birth to that child, you want your child to be, to be what you want the child to be. You don't want other influences on your child. So the Grammy was the brainchild of a bunch of white people who got in a room and said, let's create this artificial award that people are going to think is valuable, and people will give us all kinds of power because they want to kiss our ass so they can get this award. So the Grammys have always been rigged. There's no question about that. We all agree, most of us agree that that was the case. Now, the second accusation, which was interesting to read about, is one of sexual misconduct. That basically, and I read through the article, and I'm gonna keep reading more of this, that basically she said that she went to dinner with some guy, and the guy told her she was pretty and offered to take her out on trips or something. It sounds horrible. It sounds just, I mean, my God, it sounds like rape. You know, he told you you were pretty, my Lord. Like how did you make it through the night? My goodness, that sounds so traumatic. So let me read more of this to you so you can read this. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. The Recording Academy has been struggling for years with criticism that the Grammys were too male, too white, too old, and too insular. All check. All those things are true. Now, in came Dugan 5 months ago as the Academy's first female leader. She pledged that the organization could do better, as she told NPR in an interview last month. We've known as an industry for a long time that we have a monumental problem with gender issues. Okay. Now, mind you, the white females come in and they get heard by the Equal Opportunity Employment Commission and things like that, because most of the beneficiaries of things like, affirmative action and whatever tend to be white females. White females benefit more in these environments than you do. And so notice that she's talking about gender issues and said nothing about any sort of racial issue. I just want to make that point. Then just over a week ago, and only 10 days before the awards telecast, the Recording Academy abruptly announced that it had placed Dugan on leave pending an investigation into an allegation of bullying that came from a female assistant. But in an interview Thursday, Dugan claimed she was placed on leave as retaliation for accusations she made and changes she proposed. So they're saying that they put her on leave because she bullied a female assistant. I call bullshit on that. It sounds to me like they didn't like the fact that she was upsetting the apple cart. But then she comes in and says she was placed on leave as retaliation for accusations she made and changes she proposed. So she's saying that I was put on leave because they harassed me and also because I wanted them to change the fact that they were rigged. I think that the fact that they were rigged is a no-brainer. Everybody knows that. The whole harassment accusation seems a little shaky. And let me tell you why. I'm gonna read some of this. It sounds like people just throwing mud at each other in public. And I'm gonna tell you, I don't know about y'all. Give me a yes or no if you agree. But I personally think it's hilarious watching white people fight in public. Like when white people want to take out other white people, I think it's hilarious. Like that's actually your opportunity, black people, to make a power play, right? Like when they're all fighting each other. Let me tell you a little secret about history. Throughout history, when white folks start murdering each other and killing each other, that's actually where oppressed, colonized countries had their opportunity to liberate themselves. Like for example, during World War II, when you had this mass gangster shit going on where Germany's trying to exterminate all the people in France and the British are bombing the Germans and everybody's fighting. That was when Vietnam was like, okay, while they all fighting, we gonna tiptoe out this motherfucker because we've been occupied by the French for 100 years. So while the French are getting their ass kicked by the Germans, we're gonna go over here and try to see if we can get some liberation up in this mug. Now, it didn't quite work out exactly that way, but but that is kind of a cue. A lot of times, it's no different from when you're a hostage. Most of y'all got Stockholm Syndrome because you've been held hostage and captive by white supremacy for the last couple hundred years. So when you're held hostage in a room, imagine you're being held hostage in a room and all the hostage takers, all the people that kidnapped you are all working together to keep you in your cage or to keep you locked up. And then imagine that they all start fighting and they all start shooting each other. Well, that's your opportunity to get out of the room. That's your opportunity to run, right? Well, the same thing is true here. White folks are fighting. They're doing what black people do on our worst days, which is because they hate each other, they are attacking and they're destroying their most sacred institutions. They're not on code with each other right now. Like she's taking them down. The gender war between white men and white women is very, very real. They want to take every white man in America who's not gay, take him in a room, chop off his penis, and wear it strap it on their own bodies. Like that's literally what it is. It's this gender war, Me Too, all of that. That is a battle between white females and white males mostly. Some black folks get caught up in that because y'all make the stupid mistake of thinking that you're one of them. You make the crazy mistake of thinking that you're part of the Me Too movement and that white women are going to care about you as much as they care about themselves. And here's the deal. We know the history of that. That's why my sister had to do that poem, like, Ain't I a Woman, right? Because she was like, wait a minute, I'm aligned with the Fannie Lou Hamer. Is that right? Is that who did it? Yeah, well, she's like, I'm aligned with y'all. I'm a feminist too. I'm fighting for women's rights, but y'all ain't treat me like a woman. Y'all getting all the women's privilege. That's because you ain't white. You ain't white. Black folks never learned that. It was a lot of black people never learned this basic truth about life and reality. You ain't white. You ain't white. So give me a yes or no in the chat if you understand that you ain't white, that what they're doing does not apply to you. And it don't have to be your business unless you want it to be, unless you decide that you want to get involved. Sojourner Truth, was that Sojourner Truth? Did I say it wrong? I apologize if I did. I'm so embarrassed right now, but it doesn't matter. Either way, at the end of the day, this whole feminist, this whole Me Too, white women versus white men thing, sure, a black woman started the Me Too movement, but I don't believe that Tarana Burke, who's founded it, I don't believe that she saw it becoming what it is. I think that she probably has some trepidation over the fact that white women picked up the torch. They co-opted, they culturally appropriated her movement and said, oh shit, this will be excellent for our vendetta against white men. Like literally, there's a show on HBO or some shit, Netflix or whatever it was, where it was literally, it had a crazy plot. The plot was that a group of white women with no men anywhere, right? A bunch of white women went and started a little town. Maybe there are a couple of black women in there because they always like to bring along black women to support their cause. And they create this little town. And these men are like why y'all women creating a town? So these men come into the town, and they come in to try to take over because they're men and they're mad that women actually have an independent town. So the whole show is about all the women murdering the men. Like all the women they're expert marksmen, and they're all shooting and killing their men. Like that's how bad the gender war is. Another example, anybody see Wonder Woman? How many of y'all, give me a yes or no, how many of y'all saw another feminist tale called Wonder Woman? Did anybody else watch Wonder Woman? If you remember in Wonder Woman, it was all about what? It was about a planet or an island where there was nothing but women on this island. Nothing but women, no penises allowed. Like, no, seriously, I'm sitting here like, well, how did y'all get born? How were y'all born if there's no men anywhere? And they literally, and it was almost like a type of purity that Wonder Woman felt because she had never been exposed to the toxic masculinity of a man, that she'd never been exposed to the disgusting nature of men, right? Like seriously, like that's their fantasy. Like that's the feminist fantasy. Like they want the world full of women and gay people. That's it. Like that's really it. So ultimately, at the end of the day, this is their war. And let me tell you why the war is hilarious. I'm gonna read more of this article. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. Also, our Black Millionaire Factory starts this week. That's where myself and attorney Nicole Compton will spend 6 weeks teaching you all about wealth and things like that. So feel free to go check it out. It's theblackmillionairefactory.com. That's theblackmillionairefactory.com. And you can get a 30% discount if you use the code word podcast. That's theblackmillionairefactory.com. Use the code word podcast. You get 30% off. We start in 3 days. All right, so let me keep going. Specifically, Dugan says her suspension was a result of a memo she sent in December to the Academy's Human Resources Director, which included an accusation that she had been sexually harassed by the Academy's General Counsel, Joel Katz. Katz is also a former Academy board chair. In her EEOC complaint, Dugan reiterated her accusations against Katz, and she said that she learned that her predecessor, Neil Portnow, has now been accused of raping a female artist. Both Katz and Portnow denied the accusations, and Portnow said in a statement that he was investigated and exonerated. In the complaint, Dugan also repeated and elaborated upon her accusations from the HR memo related to questionable financial expenditures, rigged Grammy voting, and self-dealing at the public nonprofit organization. Now, I don't doubt anything that she's saying here, but I do think that, we have to understand, like when you send your sons, a lot of your sons are going to go work in corporate America. Your sons are going to be looking for that fancy corporate job after they get out of college. Let me just tell you a little secret. You want to be very careful about sending a Black man into an environment where somebody can just make an accusation against him and ruin his career, even without any proof. Like you want to be really careful about that, because if this is working on white men, then what do you think is going to happen to your Black ass son when Becky says, he did this terrible thing to me? At that point, the burden of proof shifts onto him to prove he didn't do it. I got a master's degree in math and a PhD in finance, and I went to school till I was 30 years old, and I still can't figure out how you can prove that you did not sleep with somebody or that you did not rape somebody, especially if you slept with them. Like, you slept with them, they know you slept with them, but they're saying that this happened and you're saying that happened, and there's no proof either way. I don't know how you unprove or how you prove that you didn't do that. Like, how do I prove if somebody says, Boyce, I saw you ate some food yesterday, and I believe that that you were thinking about eating ice cream. How do I prove that I wasn't thinking about eating ice cream? I can't do that, right? So if somebody just believes you, because we have these stupid quotes like "believe women," which I don't agree with. Believing women is kind of silly, because it's like, so you're telling me I'm supposed to believe anything a woman says, as if women can't lie? Like women cannot lie. Like women cannot ever tell a lie? Are you kidding me? Give me a yes or no if you've ever seen a woman tell a lie. If you are a woman and you've lied at some point, then you can say yes to that too. Has anybody in this room ever seen a woman tell a lie? Yes or no? Give me a yes or no if you think that women can lie just like men. I think I'm the first to say yes, they can. Right? Doesn't mean they're always lying. Doesn't mean you assume women are always lying, but it means that no matter who the person is, when they make an accusation, you got to go investigate. Right? And also it means that, we have to sort of shift the way we view sexuality, the way we view human male-female interactions. If I go into a room with you and we're both there and nobody knows what happened except for us, and then at that point, both of us are taking a risk. Both of us are taking a risk. I'm taking a risk that you could go tell a lie on me. You're taking a risk that something could happen and you would have no proof that it actually occurred. So to me, just like the police, what the police will do is they'll say, look, in this space, we can protect you. But if you go over here, then we can't protect you anymore because we don't know what happened over here. We can't control this particular space. So nobody really knows what's happening in your bedroom except for you and the person who was there. So my advice to everybody is be thoughtful about who you go into the bedroom with, because you might be going in there with a crazy person. That actually speaks to the fact that in our society, I think that we sometimes forget about the power of sex and sexual interaction, and we want to sleep with somebody because we talked to them for 2 hours and had a great conversation. Well, I don't believe that that's a very wise choice, particularly if you have something to lose. That means that I'm talking about not just the men who don't want to be falsely accused. I'm talking about the women who don't want to be traumatized. Don't you go up to his hotel room at 2 o'clock in the morning just because you think he's got a little bit of swag. Take your time, get to know him, maybe bring a friend, make sure that you're safe. Like, don't just go into situations where nothing can be proved or unproven, because at that point, it's hard for people to protect you. I used to say that to college students. I'd be like, well, if you go get pissy drunk and you go into a room with another student, I, as a professor who's seeking fairness, cannot discern what happened in a night where nobody even remembers what happened because everybody was drunk and you were in private. How in the hell am I supposed to know what happened and what did not happen? So anyway, let me keep reading more of what she's saying here. Let me read more of what she's saying. I know what I'm saying is not politically correct, but on this platform, our goal is not to be politically correct. Our goal is to be correct. So if you don't agree with me, if you're mad because what I said hurt your feelings, I cannot help you. I cannot legislate how you feel. But if you have proof that I'm wrong or another perspective that I should consider, then share the perspective. That's fine with me. So let me keep going. So let's see. In an interview with NPR on Thursday, Dugan reiterated her accusation against Katz as it is laid out in the EEOC complaint. She said the incident occurred May 18th, 2019. Now listen to this horrible experience that she had with this guy. She says it was before she started officially working at the academy in August. She'd been invited to attend the first day. Oh, sorry. I always sneeze in twos. She'd been invited to attend the first day of a 3-day board session held at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Laguna Niguel, California. She says Katz, who's an extremely high-profile attorney who recently negotiated the sale of Taylor Swift's former label, Big Machine Label Group, to Scooter Braun's Ithaca Holdings Group. He invited her to dine with him that evening. Quote, under the guise of a work dinner, she told NPR, I was propositioned by the general counsel, that is Joel Katz. It started with calling me baby and telling me how pretty I was. And then in the course of dinner, after ordering a bottle of wine, I got a little more uncomfortable. He was talking about his private plane and trips that we could do, and it ended with him leaning forward to kiss me. As I look back now, I think that the fact that they had me meet him and have dinner with him first was a test of how much I would acquiesce to. So I'm not sitting here saying she's lying. She could be telling the truth. I can act. The one thing we do know is that there's no proof. Like that we do know. And so my first advice, my first thought would be, well, when you started feeling uncomfortable, you can get up and walk away. Right? You're about to be president of the Academy Award. I doubt if he would have grabbed you by your hair, body slammed you, and throat punched you if you'd said, I'm sorry, this meeting is over. I'm not comfortable right now. But you sat with him for hours. You ordered a bottle of wine with him. You're sitting there chilling with each other. And my God, he's traumatizing you by telling you how pretty you are. He's adding to the trauma by talking about taking you for trips on his private plane. And that he's attracted to you. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like this is not awkward. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like this is all on the up and up. I'm not here to go defend, rich white guys in Hollywood. That's not what the goal is here. The goal is to kind of say that I'm like Dave Chappelle in the sense that I don't really see a threat here. I mean, when you're really talking about things like harassment, assault, things that people should be fired for, destroyed for, sent to jail for, I don't think people should be sent to jail because they offered to take you on a trip on their private jet. I think that you just fucking say no, thank you. Maybe you could say, And I'm gonna tell you, this has happened before. I remember one time I had a meeting with a woman who didn't know what was up. She didn't know why I wanted to talk to her. She wanted to make sure it was all good. So you know what she said? She said, I'd feel comfortable if there was another person in the meeting with me, especially given, I don't remember. In fact, I think I might have had one of those big hotel rooms. I said, sure, come on by. I'll be in room 385. And I love the fact that she said she wanted to bring her friend, because I was like, yeah, let's make sure that there's no ambiguity here, because I don't want any sort of discomfort on your part. And I don't want to be uncomfortable wondering if somehow there's going to be a misinterpretation that's going to make me look like a royal asshole. So bring your friend. I think that's great. So you can, I mean, think about this now. Think about this. This woman, Dugan, what's her name? Dugan, Deborah Dugan. She's not, some little powder puff type woman who's just gonna, be like traumatized because somebody offered to take her on a trip on a private plane. She is trying to become the chief executive of one of the most powerful organizations in the United States. You're about to become the chief executive officer of the Recording Academy that controls the entire music industry, damn near. And you're trying to convince us that somehow you were taken aback and traumatized because somebody told you were pretty. I would imagine that you probably heard that before. Probably not very much, because she ain't that cute. She ain't that cute. But I'm looking up her resume, and she's from New York. She's a New Yorker. That right there says a whole lot, because New Yorkers are very tough people. Shout out to all my friends here in New York, especially in Brooklyn. Brooklyn's my favorite part of New York. I love y'all. I love everybody in New York, Harlem, all of that. But Brooklyn, y'all got a special place in my heart. So this woman, I think she's an attorney or something. She's been, so she's been fighting her way through the industry, kicking ass and taking names. And suddenly she's expecting the world to believe that she's, some scared little girl who didn't know how to respond when a man told her she was pretty. I'm sorry. I don't even, I'm not even going to ask what people think about this. I'm just going to say, you need to get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Seriously, get out of here with that shit. The one thing that she said that is accurate, that is true, that people should walk away with is this: the Grammys are rigged. We've known this for a long time. Thank you, Miss Dugan, for sharing that information. Now we've got confirmation. So as Black people, my encouragement to you is, while the white folks are fighting, then you need to quietly exit the building and go create your own award shows so that you can become the dungeon master and control your own universe. Like, go create a show, create your own shit so that you don't care about their shit, right? So that's where Miss Dugan helps us out. All this stuff about going into, these sexual harassment allegations, there's nothing harassing, nothing threatening about a man saying, I think you're pretty. I'd like to take you on a trip on my private jet. You are a high-powered industry executive who intimidates the shit out of most men that you meet because you're so powerful. You could have just said, I'm going to walk out of the room. You could have said, I need a friend to be here at this meeting just to make sure that there's no misunderstandings here. But what she's doing basically is this. Here's what's happening. This is why even the people, I'm gonna explain to you guys why. In fact, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button right now. If you're on Twitter, please retweet. If you're on Facebook, please share this. If you're on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up button. Also, if you want to join my Instagram, it's The Real Boyce Watkins. Feel free to join The Real Boyce Watkins, or go to boycewatkins.com if you'd like to know more about what we got going on. I'm going to explain to you very quickly why even the people who support the Me Too movement need to agree with what I'm saying. It behooves you, meaning it benefits you, to agree with what I'm saying. And here's why. What you've got here is you've got a high-powered person. Now, this woman, by the way, one of her colleagues is accusing her of being a bully. A female colleague basically is accusing her of bullying the shit out of everybody. So this person who's being accused of being a bully is saying, no, really, I'm being bullied. I'm the one who's the victim here, right? So the reason that the Me Too soldiers need to agree with me on this is because what she's basically doing is she's being the savvy businesswoman that she is, and she's using the Me Too movement as a weapon that she can have at her disposal to get revenge on the men who pissed her off. She's beefing with these other guys who are running it's really a bunch of dudes up in the room. She just happens to be the dude with a vagina, and she's beefing, and she's like, oh, you gonna pull that shit on me? Oh, well, guess what? I'm a woman, and I can accuse you of anything and go on NPR and play the victim role and make all of y'all look like shit. Like, that's what's really happening. She's using the Me Too movement as a weapon to get revenge on her enemies. So let me keep reading here. So in the moment Dugan added that she had been disgusted and bewildered, that he told her that she was pretty, and that she immediately went back to her hotel room and called quite a few people to tell them what had happened. In a statement sent to NPR on Wednesday, Katz's lawyer, Howard Weitzman, said in part, quote, Miss Dugan's allegations of harassment and her description of a dinner at the steakhouse in the Ritz-Carlton are false. And Mr. Katz categorically and emphatically denies her version of events that evening. Mr. Katz believed that they had a productive and professional meeting in a restaurant where a number of members of the Board of Trustees of the Academy and others were dining. Mr. Katz will cooperate in any and all investigations or lawsuits by telling the absolute and whole truth. Hopefully, Ms. Dugan will do the same. Now, after I read this statement, I want to give you a warning. Anybody, if you have a black man in your life that you love, including yourself, raise your hand. Everybody say yes. Say yes or say I. If you are a black man or you have a black man that you care about in your life, it's your son, your brother, your daddy, your husband, your boyfriend, your baby daddy, the guy down the street, the mailman. Give me a yes if you have a black man that you care about. I hope everybody says yes, because if you don't, then I feel bad for you. Count me in the list. Maybe I could be that guy for you right now. If there's no one else, I'm there for you because I love you. Here's the deal. What you need to do is you need to warn these men that when they go into these environments, they have to be extremely, extremely careful. Because here's what the Me Too movement and white feminism has done to the workspace. Think about this. One of the most natural things for a human being to do is to be attracted to another human being. Love and connection and sex, lust, all of that are all part of God's formula for how we reproduce ourselves. That's where we came from. Everybody who lives in this room or who's in here right now is here because at some point in the past, a man and a woman looked at each other and said, I'd like to get in that ass. Or maybe they said something else. But you get the point. Everybody is in this room because at some point, somebody decided to sleep together. And so what has happened now? So you think about this in this society, going to work is a big deal. America is probably the second or third most productive country in the world in terms of the number of hours we work. People miss sleep because they're working so much. The only people that work harder than the United States, if I'm not mistaken, according to statistics, are the Japanese. The Japanese, those motherfuckers literally die at their desk. Like, it's really bad. Like, they have a real issue there. But Americans are pretty damn industrious and productive, which means that we spend more time at work than we spend doing anything else. We spend more time at work than we spend with our children. We spend more time at work than we spend with our spouse, which is why the divorce rate gets so high. We spend more time at work than we spend sleeping in many cases. So given that human attraction is one of the most basic elements of who we are as humans, and the fact that you spend more time at work than you spend anywhere else, it's only natural that people are going to get attracted to each other. Has anybody seen or participated in a workplace relationship of some sort? Maybe somebody that you got with after work and didn't tell nobody about. Maybe somebody you got with while you were at work, right, and didn't tell nobody about. Has anybody ever participated in a workplace relationship, or maybe a relationship that worked out? Maybe you worked together and you connected really well and you ended up getting married or having a long-term relationship. Yes or no? Has anybody ever had that experience? Well, what's happened now is the white female, the white feminist female, the white feminist Me Too soldier, unfortunately, because I'm not putting this on black people. I don't think most normal black folks just don't think like that. Like, we see love and attraction as natural things. We see fertility as a natural thing. We're Africans in our blood. So Africa is one of the most fertile places on the planet, and that extends to the human beings. So I don't think black folks think this way, but what's happened is that the white feminist female Me Too soldier has basically outlawed one of the most natural processes that exists in the universe. They've made it illegal to participate in any sort of male-female interaction, but they've only limited that illegality to straight men. Now, if you are a woman, you can go get you some ass at work and you won't get in trouble for it. If you're a woman and you want to get with a woman, that's cool. Ain't nobody gonna say shit about that. No charges will be filed against you. If you're a woman and you like that man, you're attracted to your boss, it's okay for you to go try to tease him and tempt him and send him little dirty text messages or whatever, and and let him know that you want a piece of that. If you are a gay man, you can go, you can go sleep with Brad or whatever, and it's okay. Like that, nobody's gonna say anything. The Me Too movement, from what I understand, has almost never taken down anybody other than heterosexual males. So black males who are heterosexuals, because they're the most vulnerable group of people in America, because it's easiest to make an accusation against you. See, rich white men got a shot. A rich white man can do what these lawyers are doing with this ladies coming at them. They can go and they can get on the phone and call their $400, $500 an hour attorney and have the attorney spend $50,000 defending them against those accusations. They can do these things and they still might lose. They might just have to write $1 million check because they told a woman she was pretty, and somehow that has become offensive. Your son probably can't do that. Your dad probably can't do that. Your uncle can't do that most of the time. So my opinion, this is my 2 cents. This is me speaking as a black man speaking to black people. And I don't give a shit about being politically correct because black folks need to know the truth. My opinion is that you probably want to advise that black man you love to, number one, keep his dating life somewhere else. Get, if you're busy working, get on those apps and find your woman on the apps. I mean, I hate saying it like that, but you got Match.com, eHarmony.com. Some people like to even swipe left and swipe right. I'm not judging, it's on you. But maybe you find another way to get that out of your system, because even if it looks safe, there's many cases you're being lured into a trap. It's not so much a trap. See, it's not so much a trap in which the trapper is seeing it as a trap as they're trapping you. It's a situation where you're brought into a space where you're going to become vulnerable. So here's the deal. This lady, when she said that after this happened, after this uncomfortable dinner where the guy told her she was pretty and offered to take her on private jet trips, which, oh my God, it must have been traumatizing. She said, I called quite a few people, right? She's strategic. She's super smart. Pay attention, black people. She probably was documenting this as leverage in case they fucked with her later on. That's how strategic people think. They don't just look at you as their friend or their enemy. They look at you as a friend who could become an enemy, or an enemy who could become a friend. So I believe she was calling all her friends, telling the story, saying, okay, the evidence, can be flimsy and people will still believe me because everybody believes women no matter what we say. So I'm going to just make a bunch of phone calls, which some people think that's actually proof. It ain't proof that you called somebody and said something happened. Let's just be clear. That calling somebody and saying that this happened to me is not the same as proving that it happened to you, right? But we live in a world where people will say, well, if it really happened to you, did you call anybody and tell them? And she can say, oh, I called 8 friends. I called 8 friends and told them what kind of a pig he was. And maybe he really was a pig, and maybe it didn't bother her. Or maybe he wasn't a pig, and she said, I'm going to call people and tell them how much of a pig he was in case he comes and tries to fuck with me. Now I got you by the balls. Like I got to squeeze your balls to go ahead and put them in the vice grip so that when you start tripping, I could just pull that lever on you, right? So I think that this is basically white folks fighting white folks. I think this is they just getting into some gangster shit, and she's basically using whatever leverage she has, and her leverage happens to be the fact that she has a vagina. So let me keep reading. Let me read more of this. This is interesting. So let's see here. So here's what another quote that Dugan says. She says, quote, you hear about these things in entertainment, and certainly for women in leadership, said Dugan, who immediately prior to coming to the Academy had led the charity Red after roles as president of Disney Publishing Worldwide and as an executive at EMI Record Groups. So she's a 60-year-old veteran executive, and she's talking about all of this as if she's never seen inappropriate behavior in the workplace. Like, oh my goodness, you read about this and you just think it can never be me, and you see it happening to other people. I mean, think about this. This lady's like not very pretty now. She's older and not very pretty. So if this is happening and she's older and not very pretty, you really think it never happened to her, or she never saw this when she was young and attractive? I'm not saying that she's not attractive now. I'm not saying an older woman can't be attractive. I think an older black woman especially can be amazing, because some of y'all be 45, 50, 60 years old looking like you're 22. Okay, like that's just real. Black don't crack. But some of those other women, y'all know what I'm talking about. They start looking like Tales from the Crypt after about the age of 45 or 50. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Come on, don't act like you don't know. All right, so let's keep going. All right, so she says, but after so many years and having such a track record of integrity and purpose, to have this happen, I was very disillusioned and, to be honest, a little scared. A little scared. Again, she's accused of being a bully, by the way. She's basically been promoted to a position that most men can't get in a world of men. And she's using all the language, all the trigger language, all the Me Too trigger language that infantilizes. Unfortunately, it infantilizes women. Condoleezza Rice actually made that point, and I agree with her. You know, Condi's a tough lady. You might not like the fact she's a Republican, but Condoleezza is like, I want to be the commissioner of the NFL. I want to, I think she's running some big post at Stanford University. Condi ain't no punk. Condi's very tough. You know, Condoleezza Rice made a good point. She said, I support the Me Too movement. I support, you know, screening out and getting rid of all inappropriate behavior. But she said, what you got to be careful about is that you don't want to present women as if we are little powder puff little girls who get scared every time a man says the word penis, right? Like penis, right? Like, it's like, come on now. So, but after so many years and having such a track record of integrity and purpose, and to have this happen, I was very disillusioned and, to be honest, a little scared. And there was a continuing pattern afterward of whenever we had private conversations, he was calling me baby and telling me how pretty I was. Again, I'm like Dave Chappelle. Where's the threat? Like, at what point did he take you in his room and tackle you, lay you on the bed, and take you against your will? That's the part of the story I'm looking for. Okay, let me just say this, ladies. If I met you on the street and I saw you and I said, "Gosh, I think you're so beautiful," how would you feel? How would you? Yes or no? Would you consider me a predator if I said that? Let's say I just met you and you're like, "Hey, Dr. Boyce, I see you. You're always running your mouth on YouTube, but I like what you do. I support the show," and I say, and let's say that I just have a moment and I say, "I just want you to know, I think that you are beautiful. I think Black women are amazing." And Alicia's right here, so I'm not trying to be offensive, but I just want you to know you are a beautiful woman. Like, or let's say that I did it in private. Let's say that you really thought that maybe I was kind of, you know, trying to be a little shady, right? But let's say that I just told you were beautiful. Would you be mad or would you be flattered? At the very least, would you consider that to be a threat? I hope not. And just so you know, I don't get into all of that. Like, when you're more of a public figure, you got to be very careful about what you say to women and stuff like that. Like, they can say things to you, but you can't say certain things to them because people will interpret it the wrong way. I accept that double standard. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, a man telling you that he thinks you're attractive is not a threat. You know, and there are people that have legitimate threats out here. Right now, there's some little Black girl in the hood who's really in a bad situation, and she can't get attention on her situation because the white women have sucked up all the spotlight. They've soaked up all the sunshine. They're taking all the attention away from the people that are really going through some things. You're mad because they offered you a $5 million a year job and told you that you were pretty. And there's somebody out there that's really going through some shit that can't get attention to her case because you're the one that's invited onto NPR. That's ridiculous. So let me read more. So Dugan and her lawyer, Douglas Wigder, denied to NPR. Oh, wait. Oh, here we go. Wait, okay. Oh, sorry. They denied that she had bullied the Academy employee, a woman named Claudine Little. This is where the stupidity. See, what happens is when you do something, when you have something stupid in place, stupidity piles on top of more stupidity, because the only way to answer to stupidity sometimes is to respond with more stupidity. So because you know, because they've made the accusation against her for bullying, she comes back with these sexual harassment allegations, which sound like BS. But then they're coming back with a statement from a woman challenging the woman, right? So it's very interesting in the sense that everybody's very gender sensitive in terms of how they respond. So the men are not responding. What the men said, okay, we need to get a woman to respond. Since everybody believes women, we can only fight a woman with a woman. So it's almost like sports when some of the teams started getting black dudes, and the black dudes were dominating the white guys, and then the other teams were like, shit, we need to get some black dudes on our team. So next thing you know, all the teams got black dudes. So now sports kind of becomes like, are our Negroes better than your Negroes? Like, are our black guys better athletes than your black guys? Because we kind of dominate that, right? So the same thing is kind of true with this whole thing about believing women. Right? It's like, okay, everybody believes your woman, and so we've got a woman who is more believable than your woman, right? When both of them might be on some BS. So let me read more of this. It says, so the Academy has said that Dugan is accused of creating a toxic and intolerable work environment and engaging in abusive and bullying conduct. I find that interesting because they're using the words toxic and abusive. Those tend to be words that are applied to men. So I think the language is being very specific here to basically say, this is what we're dealing with. This is the kind of person who's creating a hostile work environment for the women that she works for. Fuck the men. It's all about the women abusing the women. So in a statement to NPR via the Recording Academy on Wednesday, Claudine Little, the lady who accused the Dugan, the Tales from the Crypt lady, of being abusive, she said this. She said, quote unquote, Miss Dugan's choice to litigate in the press and spread a false narrative about the Academy and me and my colleagues is regrettable. But it is also emblematic. I read slowly because I want y'all to just really absorb and internalize every word, because in these statements, they think about every single word. I want y'all to get practice thinking strategic on this type of shit. So the allegations are regrettable, but it is also emblematic of Miss Dugan's abusive and bullying conduct while she served as the Academy's president and CEO. I am proud of my career with the Academy, where as a woman, right, that's not in there by accident, right? As a woman, I was able to work my way from secretary to director of administration in the executive suite solely based on merit, while working for and with leaders far more demanding and hard-charging than Ms. Dugan. It is disappointing that Ms. Dugan hopes to leverage public opinion along gender lines and expects not to be scrutinized for her inexcusable behavior simply because she is a woman. She should be held to the same standard. That last statement is very powerful. Let me read it again so I can tell you what's going through my brain as I'm reading this. It is disappointing that Ms. Dugan hopes to leverage public opinion along gender lines. So what she's basically saying is that you're expecting to not be accountable as you are claiming to hold others accountable. Accountability should lead to joint accountability. Scrutiny should lead to scrutiny in both directions. And that's what the Me Too movement leverages. They leverage this false idea that somehow it makes sense to allow scrutiny and accountability to come from one direction, but to disallow scrutiny and accountability to come from the other direction, because at that point you're victim blaming. Well, that's a bunch of bullshit. That's a bunch of BS. Because when you make an accusation against another person, you are opening your door for people to scrutinize you to determine the credibility of what you said. One thing, if there's ever any sort of kryptonite, like they got white woman kryptonite out here, white feminist kryptonite is it's easy to describe. White feminist kryptonite comes in the form of accountability. When you hold them accountable and you ask them the same questions they're asking everybody else, when you challenge them the same way they challenge everybody else, they fold up into a little ball and they become little girls and they say, you're victim blaming, you're traumatizing me. That isn't right. Or they use terms like you're raping me all over again. Anybody ever heard terms like, everybody ever hear them talk like that? Like when you ask me these questions, it's like I'm being traumatized all over again. And we're like, didn't nobody rape you? They just asked you, did it happen? They're asking you to present evidence. But you're trying to somehow, in effect, so here's the thing. the thing about this kryptonite is that it works temporarily sometimes. If the other person's stupid and has no courage, then it can work, because they'll be like, oh gosh, I don't want to re-victimize, I don't want to re-traumatize. And she's like, yeah, motherfucker. Yeah, right? She's laughing at you. But the thing about it is that playing the victim doesn't work long term, because what you effectively end up doing is, because you're playing the whole like victim card over and over again, it starts to become less and less effective over time. Also, it minimizes the real trauma of real serious things that actually happen. So if everybody says, you know, you asking me a question is like you raping me all over again, if people use terms like that loosely, then what you're effectively doing, unfortunately, is you're minimizing the trauma of a sexual assault. Right? You're actually harming those who are legitimate victims of some of the most atrocious crimes imaginable, because now every white woman on earth is claiming I'm just like a rape victim because he told me I was pretty, or he told me that I have a nice booty, and that made me feel like I was being sexually assaulted by his eyes. Right? And eventually people are going to be like, damn, okay, so we thought we had, 3% of the population that were rape victims. Now it's actually 70%. Like because you've got all these white women piling on their little white woman problems to somehow give the impression that they should be put in the same class as people who experience serious harm. I think that so my reason I make that point is because this is not just an issue that should be brought up by a man like me. Shit, I get hung out to dry every time I talk about this conversation. I bring it up because I care about the safety of black people, and I worry about all the black men that are being caught in the crossfire of this stuff. So I have to go out there and say that. But really, this is not just an argument for men. This is something that women should argue, especially those who really went through some real shit. Like, don't let them hijack the righteous moral high ground that comes with the fact that you are survivors of trauma. Don't let them hijack that. Don't let them say, a guy pinched my booty and it's the same, so I'm a rape victim too. No, you're not. You're not. You are a booty pinching victim. That's what you are. And booty pinching is wrong. But it ain't as bad as actually tying somebody down, putting a gun to their head, and taking their body. Like that, those ain't the same thing. There's a continuum. So anyway, let me keep going. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. Hit the share button. Hit the subscribe button. Also, my website is boycewatkins.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at Dr. Boyce Watkins 1, Dr. Boyce Watkins 1. If you're watching on Twitter, please retweet this. If you're watching on Facebook, please share this. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up button and the notification bell, and also make sure you subscribe to drboycetv.com. All right. So let me read this final sentence. It's disappointing that Ms. Dugan hopes to leverage public opinion along gender lines and expects not to be scrutinized for her inexcusable behavior because she is a woman. She should be held to the same standard. I like that, because what she's basically saying is that you talk all day about equality. You want equality. Well, motherfucker, we gonna give you equality. Equality isn't just something that is presented when it works in your favor. Equality also is something that exists even when it doesn't work in your favor. So the fact that they're coming back, I think that makes it interesting. Again, I'm not one to come out here and try to legislate this on my platform. I don't know. These are white folks' problems as far as I'm concerned. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I just don't give a shit about the academy or whatever. Like that's all their stuff. But I wanted to try to break it down for those of you that want to understand what's going on. But more specifically, the final recommendation is, one, you have to protect your black men. That means keep your dating life outside the office. Don't say anything that can be misinterpreted when it comes to a woman. And men may, we talk about women having witnesses around as proof to protect them from predatory men. Well, your son might need to have witnesses around as proof to protect him from predatory women. I know black male professors who will not let a woman in their office and have the door be shut. You shouldn't do that. Don't be alone. Like, oh, you want to come to my hotel room? No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And then also, entrepreneurship. There's a reason why I believe black men should be leading the charge on entrepreneurship, because you got to get out of this environment. You got to get to a space where you're safe. I've seen a lot of people build extraordinary careers and lose it all because of one accusation from somebody who was just mad at them and just decided they were going to just throw out a story. Now, I want to say thank you to Francine. She says, stop by the Harambee Culture shop in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Okay, spell Harambee Culture, Kulcha. And I'm going to copy and paste that down so everybody can see it. Thank you, Francine, for your support for the platform. I appreciate you and I love you very much. Thank you, Karen Perry. I always see you in there, Karen, and I really love you and I respect you so much for supporting the platform. So I'm going to go, guys. We talked for a while. I hope that this conversation was beneficial to you. My website is boycewatkins.com. If you want to know about some of our events coming up, some of the books we have. We're going to do a Black movie night very soon. The whole year we're going to feature Black filmmakers because we're trying to build a new Black Hollywood. So I will let you guys know. Also, if you want to get invited to the private Q&A sessions, go become a subscriber at intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. And I'm going to actually schedule a private Q&A and invite all the patrons in where you can ask me questions and I will answer every single question because we're going to have a smaller group. So feel free to go to intelligentblackpeople.com to support the platform. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button. I'm out of here, guys. I'll see you soon. Take care. Peace.